Well guys, it's that time again. It's the end of the week, so it's time for Ask Deadly number 42. In the background today, you guys are going to be seeing some gameplay of Escape from Tarkov, and I just uploaded yesterday my first impressions of the pre-beta patch, so if you're interested to see how the game is playing, definitely go and check out that video. Lots of useful information to get you up to speed with all the changes. Alright, without further ado guys, let's dive deep into these questions. Do you think base building will ruin the aesthetics in DayZ? With the recent .62 graphical improvements, the game looks great, and I don't want it to be ruined by abandoned sky bases or random chunks of metal and wood around Chernarus. If you played the mod, then you know what I mean on how hideous it looks. Yo, White Death, I agree with you completely. I hated the Epoch mod. The Epoch and Overpoch mods really turned me away from DayZ mod. Actually, I kind of stopped playing after that became the thing to be on. Like, all the most popular servers were all these Overpoch mods, and it was just, it sucked. It just wasn't fun. It wasn't the DayZ that I wanted. So I think the developers know that, and from all of the work in progress images we've seen so far of the base building system, you're not going to be having these crazy Epoch towers. From what we can see so far, it's going to be barricading buildings, building walls, and little watchtowers. And all of the storage of your supplies still looks like it's going to be inside of barrels, crates, and tents from the work in progress images that we've seen. And that's really what the base building in DayZ should be. Maybe they should allow us to craft a cabin, but that is, you know, that remains to be seen. We've also seen work in progress images of the bushcrafting stuff, like the lean-tos and the improvised teepee huts and the improvised tents made with animal leathers. So that's going to be pretty interesting to see how those impact the game as well. And the introduction of building crates and hiding loot underground, stashing and using a shovel to bury something. That's already confirmed to be in the game at some point. What are your initial thoughts on the automatic LMGs, such as the M249? Do you believe it would be game-breaking due to the inevitable power as well as the large quantity of bullets spawned for the high-capacity magazines? Example, 200 rounds of 5.56 spawns. I doubt that the LMGs will spawn with full mag capacity. I think it's going to be I think the ammunition types are not going to change, so it's going to be actually very difficult to run an LMG with full mag capacity, and how they balance that out still remains to be seen. But look at the AKM. I don't think the LMGs are going to be super powerful. Like, maybe the Pray and Spray might be good for them, but the AKM can barely be controlled on full auto, and that's an assault rifle. So expect AKM level recoil using these LMGs, forcing players to shoot in small bursts or go prone to actually get that recoil under control. There will be balance, so I wouldn't worry about that. LMGs were in DayZ mod, they're in Arma 3, and people still prefer to use assault rifles all the time. There's going to be some good balances. The developers know what they're doing. One reason DayZ is more popular than the other survival games. DayZ is the only game where you can really shit your pants. Great atmosphere. Hey man, you can pick up your shit and throw it in Ark. But yeah, I don't think any other survival game has the explosive cholera shits like DayZ does. An animation, I can only assume, is on its way. Do you think that rare item spawns are ridiculously low? I've had times where I looted whole Tizzy, VMC, Northwest Airfield, and Mishkino, and with the best thing I find is a backpack or an SKS. Do you think they should increase the loot spawns or rare items at bases? My server has 2 restarts a day, and it's full 24/7. I think you should be guaranteed to find an M4 or another rare weapon at Tizzy because it's such a big base. Hey man, actually, you know what? I'm kind of smiling while I'm recording this because I think this is probably going to rustle a couple jimmies, but I love triggering people, okay? It's funny. They should make it harder. Not easier, much more difficult. They should make it to the point where if you have an M4 with like 23 rounds, you are absolutely excited. You know what I mean? Like, every single round has extreme value. That is what the intent for DayZ is supposed to be. You're not supposed to be able to find 20 stacks of ammunition and things like that. Eventually, it will go back to the way it used to be, where you only find 1 to 3 rounds at a time, and you have to do a lot of searching for those supplies. It gives more value to the gear that you can find, and it makes you appreciate the extremely rare things in the game a lot more, even if you can barely run into them. It would also encourage trading and not just people killing on sight all the time, because if you kill somebody and you ruin all their clothes, all that gear is gone. So there's just so many more benefits to making gear remain rare, and they should make it more rare. Hoarding items in barrels or tents does not affect the central loot economy. Brian Hicks has confirmed this many times. Well, I'm not too sure how it works on Public Hive, I will admit that. But on Private Hives, it almost certainly works that way. So if you could grab me a source, Alex, on Brian Hicks confirming this, that would be great. Just send it to my Twitter account, @DeadlySlob, and I would love to take a look at it. Snaz, you wrote a pretty big comment. Not all of it will be able to fit on the screen, so I'm going to elaborate what you said a little bit. Honestly, with almost 1,000 hours since release, I've just had enough about DayZ Standalone. The other day I spent 7 hours on a full private server, was roaming around the northwest and central areas of the map, and did not see a single person or hear any gunfights going on. I brushed it off as maybe people were dead in the area at the moment, and maybe go try a different server, and after 4 or 5 servers, the same emptiness. It's just not fun. They are turning, and what he goes on to say, this survival game into a military PvP game. I think, you know, it's okay to be fed up with DayZ and move on, especially if you have 1,000 hours. I mean, I got 5,000 hours. I think if you can get 1,000 hours in a video game, that's fine. You got your money's worth, man. You got that value, and it's okay to move on. I mean, it's just a game, right? So if you completely feel like you're wasting your time, there's other options out there like Battlegrounds, Miscreated, Escape from Tarkov, although I will admit it's extremely expensive right now, and a few other hopeful games like, I believe, Survive the Night is going to be coming out fairly soon. So I would just say take a break, you know, wait till 0.63 comes out and then reassess. But from all what I could see is they're turning this game into a survival game. They're working extremely hard on the bushcrafting and the survival aspects of the game, even so subtly in the current state, and they're going to be pushing it even further in the future. So if you're interested in a relentless survival experience, it will be happening. Just be patient and take a break for a while. What are your thoughts on DayZ adding a shooting range option in the menu, maybe allowing you to try all the guns with different attachments and in different distances to help you understand how the weapons work and feel? I want this. I think the offline version of DayZ Standalone that will be available in the start menu is going to be around when modding is released to help people test their mods before pushing them to a server. And whenever they add that, I'm sure that there's going to be a firing mode version of DayZ Standalone that you'll either be able to download off of the workshop or one that's built into the game. What I would like to see though from the developers is more transparency on what each weapon does, damage wise, distance, everything. I want to know more about the weapons. You know, there's a lot of mystery surrounding the combat in DayZ. There's a lot of bro science. We don't have a whole lot of options to actually test out how much damage and what actually happens to your character when you get shot. And I bet you it would help explain a lot of the confusion in firefights sometimes when you just instantly die from a shot that wasn't a headshot, or in situations where you think you probably shouldn't have died or at least stayed alive. So I would love to see that in the future, and I bet they're going to be adding that at some point. Hi Deli, quick question. Do you ever get tired of going under the nickname DeadlySlob? Has it always been your number one name? Throughout my gaming history, I've had way too many nicknames, and I still haven't found one and only. Do you have any tips for this? Thanks. I'm trying to think of some of the usernames I've had in the early 2000s. That's when I really started getting involved on the internet and whatnot. I think the first name that I really started to use was Nightmare, which is a badass name. That's a cool name, Nightmare981. That was my RuneScape account name. My first RuneScape account, the first time I ever really had to make an avatar online. I kind of wish I would have kept it. It's badass, man. I don't know why I didn't just stick with it. I would love to be called Nightmare right now, wouldn't you? I think I got it from the Soul Calibur series is where I got it from. So that nightmare. I thought that guy was just so badass, and yeah, I just hoovered the name. After that, on Halo 2, I used the name Slonage, so S-L-O, like ownage, and that was just for my like little game battles team that we had. We used to play like amateur, like esports Halo 2 back in the day. And then shortly thereafter, around Battlefield 2, so my brother and I on Battlefield 2, he was Deadly Nedley. It was a nickname from hockey in school. And I wanted like a good name to go along with my brother's name, so we could be in Battlefield together kicking some ass as the Deadly Brothers. So he was Deadly Nedley, so I chose DeadlySlob, S-L-O-B, which is actually my initials. So that's all, or not initials, but every capital letter that's in my name, believe it or not. So DeadlySlob, yeah, it's a good nickname because it's pretty unique. I don't think I've ever ran into anybody else in the entire time I've been gaming with a similar name than DeadlySlob, because it's very personalized. Do I grow tired of it? Oh my god, yeah, all the time. I really don't like the slob aspect of my name. That's why I usually just, people call me Deadly. That's pretty much what I go by. Because being called a slob, it's a derogatory term, right? It's not a good thing to be a slob, right? So it is a little annoying sometimes, and that's why I push the Deadly aspect of my name a lot more. Well, guys, that's it again for this week's episode of Ask Deadly. Thank you guys so much for leaving your questions in the comment section below. Next week, I will be picking the top comments from this video and reading them and taking a look at some of the topics. So have yourselves a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow for some more DayZ, PUBG, and EFT.